Hey guys, Tony here. Welcome to my basic guide for the Holy Paladin here in Legion, patch 7.1. The Holy Paladin has changed significantly in Legion, so let's get started. We have a lot of spells at our disposal, so let's go over some of our more basic abilities. First off is Holy Light. Holy Light is a cheap, slow casted spell that heals the target. This is our main spell, as it's the most mana efficient spell to use. Next is Flash of Light. Flash of Light is a fast, expensive heal that heals for the same amount that Holy Light heals for. Holy Shock is an instant cast ability that heals friendly targets or damages enemies. This ability has a base cooldown of 9 seconds. The Light of the Martyr is an interesting spell. It is an instant cast spell with no cooldown, which heals the target. The interesting portion of this spell is that it deals 50% of the healing done as damage to the paladin. This spell heals for a ton, especially when it crits, but it should be used carefully. There is no reason to use it if it puts you in a dangerous situation. Light of Dawn is our only AoE healing spell, excluding Tyr's Deliverance, which I'll discuss later. It heals in a 15-yard frontal cone up to 5 injured allies. It has a 12-second cooldown and costs a fair amount of mana. Beacon of Light isn't a heal directly. It is an instant cast spell on a 3-second cooldown that marks your target as a beacon. In nearly every situation, this should be one of your tanks. If you heal another member of the group, the target that is marked with Beacon of Faith will also be healed for 40% of that amount. You will be healing 2 people at once, however one of them will take a slightly less heal. If you heal the target that has Beacon of Faith with Flash of Light or Holy Light, those spells will be refunded 30% of their mana. Those are our main abilities, but we have many more at our disposal. Other spells in the spellbook are fairly situational, so use the abilities that fit the situation. Some of these include your Blessing spells, such as Blessing of Sacrifice, Blessing of Protection, Aura Mastery, and Divine Shield. Like every class and spec in the game, Holy Paladins have a stat priority that their gear should reflect. The stat priority is as follows, and remember to keep this list in the back of your mind while you obtain new items, as something that is higher item level might not be a direct upgrade dependent on secondary stats. Intellect increases our spell power, which increases our healing spell's effectiveness, so this should be on every piece of gear you equip. Critical Strike is the chance your spells and abilities have to critically strike, which doubles the amount of healing or damage you do. The more this happens, the better. Versatility is a straight healing and damage percentage increase, and damage reduction. Mastery is where things get interesting, and I'll describe this shortly. Haste reduces the cast time of our abilities. Even though it's important, the other stats higher on the list are just more important. Now, our Mastery. Holy Paladin's Mastery is Mastery Lightbringer. This is one of the more controversial changes the Holy Paladin has received. The tooltip reads, proximity to your target causes your spells to heal for up to X% more. The percentage more it heals for is increased with your mastery. Essentially, the closer you are to your target, the more your spell will heal for, and the farther away you are, the less it heals for. Blizzard has, in a sense, created a battle healer. No longer are we the holy priests in plate armor standing in the back healing. We are still able to heal from the ranged group in raids, however, depending on who we are healing, our heals will sometimes heal for less. I'll go over positioning and gameplay styles in another part of the video, but now let's discuss our talents that we should take as a Holy Paladin. Blizzard has done quite a fine job designing the Holy Paladin's talent tree. Let's start at level 15 when we first unlock the first tier of talents. When it comes to direct healing, Bestow Faith is the better choice of the 3. Light's Hammer is another AoE spell that we can have, however on a 60-second cooldown, it won't compete with a Shaman's Healing Rain or a Druid's Efflorescence. Crusader's Might reinforces the idea of a battle healer by having Crusader Strike reduce the cooldown of Holy Shock and Light of Dawn by 1.5 seconds. Bestow Faith has some interesting characteristics. It is an instant cast ability on a 12-second cooldown that at the end of 5 seconds heals the target. It does not heal the target initially, but after 5 seconds. This makes for some interesting timing with other spells to do some crazy burst healing when you know a big damaging ability is about to come in. At level 30, we unlock our second tier of talents, all 3 of which have their use cases, but generally, Rule of Law is the preferred choice among Holy Paladins. Cavalier gives Divine Steed 2 charges, which helps with our lack of mobility. Unbreakable Spirit reduces the cooldown of Divine Shield, Divine Protection, and Lay on Hands by 30%. The straight 3-minute reduction to Lay on Hands can make this ability worth taking. Rule of Law is an instant cast spell with 2 charges that increases the range of our spells and reach of our mastery by 50% for 10 seconds. For those 10 seconds, or 20 seconds if used one after the other, gives our heals a 60-yard range and increases the distance at which our mastery starts to drop off. Rule of Law is the preferred spell to take in this row of talents, however the others can be useful in certain situations. At level 45, we unlock our 3rd tier of talents. From these 3, take whichever suits the situation. Fist of Justice allows our judgment to reduce the cooldown of Hammer of Justice by 10 seconds. Repentance incapacitates the target for a whole minute, with the effect obviously reduced in PvP. Blinding Light, as the tooltip reads, emits a dazzling light in all directions, blinding all enemies within 10 yards for 6 seconds, with any non-holy damage breaking the effect. At level 60, we unlock our 4th tier of talents. This is the first tier of talents that has a cleared loser. All 3 of the talents are auras that are affected by Aura Mastery. Aura Mastery is one of our main cooldowns, which empowers our selected aura. Aura of Sacrifice is an aura that redirects 10% of all damage taken by allies within 10 yards of you to you, whenever you are above 75% health. When empowered by Aura Mastery, 15% of the healing you do, excluding overhealing, is replicated to all allies within 40 yards. In certain situations, this can allow for some crazy healing output, but the consistent damage you will take during the encounter is not worth it. Devotion Aura and Aura of Mercy are the 2 that are worth taking. Devotion Aura reduces damage allies take within 10 yards by 20%, split by the number of allies within the aura. So 2 allies mean 10% damage reduction, 4 allies 5% damage reduction, and so on. When empowered by Aura Mastery, all allies within 40 yards take the full 20% damage reduction. Aura of Mercy will heal 3 allies within 10 yards every second for a low amount. When empowered by Aura Mastery, all allies within 40 yards are healed with the healing output being doubled. Depending on the fight, either Devotion Aura or Aura of Mercy are worth taking. At level 75, we unlock the 5th tier of talents. All the talents in this tier are worth taking, as they all are beneficial. Divine Purpose allows Light of Dawn and Holy Shock to have a 15% chance to not trigger their cooldowns and to be free of mana. Holy Avenger is a 1.5 minute cooldown that increases your haste and healing of Holy Shock by 30% for 20 seconds. And Holy Prism is an instant cast ability with a 20-second cooldown, which has an interesting effect. When casted on an ally, it'll heal the target and damage 5 enemies around that ally within 15 yards. When cast on an enemy, it deals damage to the enemy, however heals 5 allies within 15 yards. Generally, Divine Purpose is the default choice, as it helps save some mana and allows more spells to be cast. However, if you feel like you need another healing cooldown, Holy Avenger is another perfectly fine spell to take. Holy Prism works well in lower level Mythic Plus dungeons and Heroic, but sees more of a use in PvP. At level 90, we unlock the 6th tier of talents. This is the second and last tier of talents that has a clear loser. A Fervent Martyr allows for casting Holy Light or Flash of Light on a target marked with Beacon of Light to reduce the mana cost of Light of the Martyr by 50%, stacking 2 times, which essentially allows Light of the Martyr to be free. It reduces the mana cost, but the self-damage it does still remains, making Fervent Martyr a talent not worth taking. The 2 main choices are between Sanctified Wrath and Judgment of Light. Sanctified Wrath increases the duration of Revenging Wrath by 25%, and reduces the cooldown of Holy Shock by half. Judgment of Light, on the other hand, allows Judgment to apply a debuff to the target, which heals the attacker whenever the target is attacked. So whenever the target is attacked, whoever attacked the target will be healed. At level 100, we unlock the 7th and final tier of talents. This tier is dedicated to adjusting the uses of your Beacon of Light. Beacon of Faith simply allows you to have a second beacon on another player, usually the other tank. Beacon of the Lightbringer causes our mastery to increase its healing based on the location of your beacon, or your target, whichever is closer. It also directly increases the healing of Light of Dawn by 30%. And finally, Beacon of Virtue. Beacon of Virtue replaces Beacon of Light. This ability has a 15-second cooldown and lasts 8 seconds. It places a beacon on your target, and while your target is healed, it will heal 3 allies around them within 30 yards. All 4 of the targets are healed, receiving 40% of all healing you do, regardless if it's on the beacon target or not. Before we go over gameplay for the Holy Paladin, let's discuss our artifact weapon and the path you should take while upgrading it. Our artifact weapon is the Silver Hand, and is a 2-handed mace. So, sorry, no more sword and shield transmogs. However, it does give the ability Tears Deliverance. This ability will heal an injured ally within 15 yards for a fair amount every 1 second. It also increases the healing done by your Holy Light and Flash of Light by 20% for 10 seconds on that target. In terms of artifact progression, the most common route is to first make your way towards Knight of the Silver Hand, which reduces all damage you take by X amount for the next 4 seconds. Then move on to Shock Treatment, which increases the critical healing and critical damage dealt by Holy Shock. From there, you move up and around to your first gold trait, Power of the Silver Hand. This passive ability increases the healing of your next Holy Shock by 10% of all damage and effective healing you do within the next 10 seconds. Basically, within 10 seconds, the more damage and healing you do, 10% of that will be added to your next Holy Shock. After we unlock our first golden trait, we make our way to our second, which is Protection of Tyr. This is a simple buff to Aura Mastery, which causes Aura Mastery to increase all healing received by the group by 15%. From here, you now have 2 choices. You can choose to upgrade Justice through Sacrifice, which increases the healing of Light of the Martyr, or go back and upgrade Expel the Darkness, which increases the healing done by Light of Dawn. Either choice is fine and will lead you to your final gold trait, which is the Light Saves. The Light Saves allows your next Holy Light or Flash of Light to heal for an additional 100% when used on your Beacon of Light target once they fall below 50% health. Since the Holy Paladin is a healer, we don't have a set rotation. Effective use of our healing spells is, in a sense, our rotation. Holy Light is our filler spell. Use this when damage in the raid is at a minimum. Flash of Light is more expensive and should be used more carefully. A good example of when to use it is when your tank has high stacks of a damaging ability. Holy Shock is useful for burst healing, usually right after a Holy Light or Flash of Light. The 2 spells in quick succession is a nice burst of healing. Holy Shock is also useful for on-the-move healing, if necessary. Bestow Faith, if you take that talent, again is useful for burst healing. Once cast, a Holy Light and Holy Shock will leave only a second or so left on the timer for Bestow Faith, allowing for 3 healing spells to be used on the target for more burst healing. Light of Dawn is a useful, albeit expensive AoE heal. Combined with Tears Deliverance, our artifact ability, it allows Holy Paladins to heal the raid during heavy damage quite effectively. The main consensus is that Holy Paladins are now battle healers, and will heal in the melee group. This is true, however, with our stat priority not favoring mastery and more critical strike, Holy Paladins can still be a decent distance away from their targets and still do significant healing. If the Beacon of the Lightbringer talent is chosen, the Paladin can stand in the range group, healing a mage right next to them with the full effect of their mastery, and then heal a rogue right next to the tank, still with the full effect of the mastery. The Holy Paladin is a healer that was changed significantly in Legion. After playing Holy for some time, the playstyle feels very good. The healing output is exceptional, the playstyle is fun, and you still have all the spells other paladins have, such as Divine Shield and Lay on Hands. Some cons about the Holy Paladin is a lack of a solid raid-wide healing, having it be based on cooldowns. Holy Paladins also don't have any sort of heal over time abilities, so all the healing done is instant and it's an always casting class. If you found this guide useful or have any sort of criticism with it, feel free to write me a comment down below. I will be making a Protection Paladin guide sometime in the future, so subscribe if you want to see that as well. This has been Tony with All Things Paladin. Take care.